All right, this is the speaking test conducted for the International English Language Testing System. It's a mock test designed to simulate the real IELTS exam speaking test. Welcome and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What's your full name?
My full name is Dilnaos Shuraiba, and you can call me as Dilnaos.
Okay, Dilnaos, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's first talk about what you do. Do you work or are you a student?
Well, right now I'm doing both. I work at the university and I'm majoring in computer science and artificial intelligence. And at the same time, I work part-time as a teacher.
Is it difficult to juggle both work and studies at the same time?
Well, I guess it depends on what kind of work you do. For example, in my case, my work is quite flexible and it allows me to spend some time for studying as well. So I would say that I don't feel that much of it challenged at all.
Excellent. You said you work as a teacher. Is there anything you don't like about your job?
Well, I wouldn't say that I would want to change it completely, but sometimes I do hate the fact that I have to stay a little bit late at work, when we have something extra to complete within the deadline. So on the times, even specifically when I have some exams at university, it will be a little bit hard to prepare for them.
Excellent. Now let's talk about art. Do you like modern art or traditional art?
Well, I'd say I lean towards more traditional art just because I feel emotionally connected with it. Yes, modern art might be fascinating, but sometimes when I see a piece, I just feel really hard to get what the artist was going for. But when it comes to traditional art, I feel more connected with it just because it describes personal feelings.
Have you ever visited an art gallery?
Yes, I have. We actually have visited an art gallery for the first time in our lives with my friend last January. We actually enjoyed it because of the fact that the artworks were by our favorite artists, so it felt like a dream came true moment.
Do you think it would be interesting for you to be an artist?
Well, yes, I would see myself being an artist because it seems appealing to express yourself through your artworks. But when it comes to financially, I wouldn't think that it would be sufficient to cover my expenses, and also I don't think that I have enough patience for it. So theoretically, yes, I can see myself in art, but when it comes to financially, I guess no.
Excellent. Now let's talk about shopping. Do you like shopping?
It depends on what kind of shopping that we are talking about. When it comes to everyday essentials, let's say for food or home essentials, I don't particularly enjoy it. I feel it seems more like a chore. But when it comes to something specific, let's say I would like to buy a book or gift, I would say that I do enjoy it.
Excellent. How often do you go shopping?
Well, for everyday purchases, I go quite often, once or twice a week. But for some significant purchases, let's say shopping or some kind of equipment, I do go there once or twice a month.
Do you compare prices when you shop?
Well, unless we're talking about a huge amount of difference between their prices, I don't particularly compare them, but sometimes when I'm buying, let's say, a new gadget or equipment, I do check the prices from various stores online.
So is it difficult for you to make choices when you shop?
Yes, I do think so, especially with the variety of options today, both in the online markets and offline markets. I do think that it's quite difficult to make choices, but before trying to commit for something, I do take into consideration of the, let's say, different factors. Let's say if it's gadget, I look at the price, I look at the color and that sort of things.
Excellent. That's the end of part one. Let's move on to part two. In part two, I'd like to give you a cue card, which asks you to talk about a person who faced difficulties but succeeded eventually. So you'll have 1 minute to prepare for this. You can take notes if you wish. I'll tell you when the time is up. You can start taking notes now. Here's your cue card and some paper to take notes with a pen. You can start taking notes now. So your time is up. Remember, you have to speak for this between 1 and 2 minutes. So don't worry if I stop you. You can start talking now.
Okay. Now I would like to talk about a person who faced lots of challenges but still succeeded. So this person is my cousin. She's my aunt's daughter. So she had this dream of studying abroad for a long time, and she had been like dreaming it for, let's say, since her childhood. But unfortunately, her father passed away, and it was obvious that she no longer could have the ability to like afford the expenses of studying abroad. But still, she tried to maintain that dream inside her heart, and so she found a job because she knew English. That's why she tried to work as a part-time teacher. And yes, she was studying at school still, but she tried to juggle both work and studies. When her classmates, let's say, were only like busy with classwork and homework, she had like extra responsibility of going to work as well. And at the same time, like her let's say the university tuition fee was not the only financial expense that she needed to pay. At the same time, she also needed to provide for her family as well. So because she was an only child and she needed to take care of her mother. So I do like the fact that she at the end still like managed to get into a top university with a full ride scholarship. So I did learn that like no matter what kind of like circumstances you face, you need to like maintain that resilience and like the ability to adapt for different circumstances. So whenever I have a conversation with her, like I do appreciate the fact that
So do you tell the story of this friend of yours to other people often?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. That's the end of part 2. Now let's move on to part 3.
Mm-hmm.
In part 3, I'd like to ask you more general questions about success. So how would you define success?
Well, I guess that is something that many people would define differently depending on their values. For some, it's financial. I mean, having like comfortable lifestyle and owning a property. But for me, like I guess some meaningful definition like has to include some sense of fulfillment. I mean, personal fulfillment. I mean, enjoying what you're actually doing. And I guess if someone is like wealthy but miserable in their work, I would hesitate to call that a success in any deep sense.
Mm-hmm. In general, how do you think people judge or assess the success of others?
Well, unfortunately, nowadays people tend to like assess success more into like materialistic marks.
Mm-hmm.
For example, their image, their income, their job title. I guess like it is easy because like they are something that you can count and like measure accordingly. But when it comes to the younger people, I guess it is becoming more like popular to assess success depending on some specific things as well. Let's say work-life balance, mental well-being, and having meaningful relationships with people around you.
So what do you think it takes to become successful in general?
I would say that it takes like combination of different factors. For example, yes, we can say like talent is important, but without consistency and hard work, I guess it doesn't take you that far. And there is like resilience as well. I mean, like trying to move on, like whatever you face, like failures and that sort of things. And also, I would say it also depends on your environment. I mean, something that you can't choose from the start. Like if someone has the like good education and supportive environment, it would be easier for them to like achieve success faster.
Mm-hmm. So, why do you think some people achieve success faster than others?
Well, as I said before, it also depends on like how they did start. How they did start. For example, some people are born in like supportive environments and get the good education, so it would be easier for them to achieve success. And also, it also depends on how person is like able to seize the opportunity when it arises. And yes.
Thank you. That's the end of our speaking test. Thank you for your participation. So let's move on to the feedback part now. I'll go through some of the notes I've taken here about your performance. So the first small mistake you had was with spend time you said I spend a lot of time for studying or something like that. The reason I want to point out this mistake is because a lot of Uzbek students actually have or make this mistake. So when they talk about the things they spend time on, they often say, I spend a lot of time for studying or for learning English. And the problem is that spend time is usually followed by spend time on something. You can, if you want, you can also use spend time on doing something. But a more natural way of saying that would be spend time doing something. Okay, so here you could have said something like, I spend a lot of time studying. So that's something to keep in mind. And then the other issue you had was, in terms of grammar, was you said when it comes to financially, and you used that twice. So you should have said when it comes to finance, maybe. So, and then one pronunciation mistake you had was this word specific. You pronounced it as specific, but it's actually specific, okay? So, and then the fourth mistake I wrote here was commit for something. I think it should be commit to something, when you commit yourself to something, or when you commit yourself to doing something. And that, I guess that's all for part one. And then in part two, you said she couldn't have the ability to afford. That was a bit awkward. I mean, you can't have the ability to afford something, right? You might say something like she couldn't afford, maybe, but saying could have the ability to afford was a bit odd, I guess. So that's something you could have changed. And then, so you said she tried to work as a part-time teacher. So here in this part two, when you talked about your friend's father passing away, you said she tried to work as a part-time teacher. Again, that was a bit unnatural. Maybe you should have said something like she tried her hands at teaching English just because she knew English well. I guess that's all for part two. And in part three, you said assess success more into financial. I think that was awkward. You could have maybe said assess success based on finance or assess success in financial terms, maybe. So I guess that's all. For your pronunciation, I would give 8. Most of the time, your pronunciation was good. You used connected speech well. You didn't hesitate a lot. You didn't hesitate. You didn't stop to look for words or grammar. Even when you made small pauses, that was when you looked for ideas. And the reason I would lower it to 8 was simply because of this specific word, which you mispronounced. Because when you are aiming for a perfect band 9, you really have to be careful about every small detail, because every small detail matters. Of course, that depends on your examiner. I mean, if your examiner is too strict, they do care about every small thing, and they might lower your score for even such a small mistake. So, and you never know what kind of examiner you will end up with. So, yeah. And for grammatic range and accuracy, I would give you an 8 again because of those small mistakes you had here and there. So once you fix those, I think it should be fine. And for lexical resources, you did use topic-related vocab well in almost all parts, except those some awkward phrases that I mentioned earlier. So that would be 8 again. The last one is fluency. Your fluency was generally okay. Except you hesitate a little bit in part 2, so that would be an 8 as well. So your overall score would probably be an 8 if this was a real IELTS exam. Thank you for your participation.